Good morning, Nerd Nation. And I say good morning because it's 1:45 in the morning here in the UK, and I'm speaking very quietly because I don't want to wake up my neighbors with my loud voice. Talking Mandalorian today with my partner in crime, Roberto. Say hello to everyone, Roberto.
This is the way.
This is definitely the way, my friend. Talking episode 8 as well as the entire season in general.
Say hello,
Um,
Roberto.
Episode 8 came
Is
out
the way.
today.
Oop, sorry.
No problem, mate. Episode 8 came out earlier today. I've seen it. Roberto's seen it. So before we talk about the season in a whole, let's talk about this episode. And we're going to start off where this episode ended in the 7 with the Mandalorian stuck in the bar and the speeder troopers having maintained Baby Yoda after killing Quill. Now, this was an interesting scene at the beginning of the episode. I kind of liked it. You just see a couple of stormtroopers kicking back, talking, and shooting at stuff and missing all the time, which was a bit silly in my opinion. But one of them wants to have a look at Baby Yoda. The other one says he shouldn't. And you're just wondering where this scene's going to go. And eventually, IG-11 gets in on the scene and takes care of those motherfuckers before stealing one of their speed bikes and then heading off to try to save the day. What did you think of this opening scene of The Mandalorian, Roberto?
I mean, I thought it was great. It was very tongue in cheek, very like I don't know. I mean, it was at part. I think it went on a little too long, but at the same time, I still found it entertaining for at least the first couple minutes it was going on. So, I mean, I feel like they could have cut back to the actual action of the episode a little bit sooner, but it was a nice little because I at first I was kind of wondering what was going on. I'm like, what? Why are we spending so much time on this? And I mean, I think they were just doing it for comedy's sake, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it as I said, I think they dwelled on that scene a little bit too long, but I still think it was entertaining nonetheless.
I've never, I mean, it reminded me of Robot Chicken for a start.
That's all I.
I'm not sure if you've ever seen episodes of Robot Chicken, the Star Wars ones, but it reminded me of that, some of the sort of skits from that. But you never really see a couple of stormtroopers just just having a chat. It was just very unique. Just to see something like that. I liked it, and I liked how that particular sketch ended with the entrance of IG-11, who was kicking ass. What's happening here? What's happening here? It's all blank. It's all blank for me, mate. Okay, here we go. We're back. Sorry, I apologize about that, ladies and gentlemen. Then we cut to the Mando, and we get to meet also Moff. We get to see more Moff Gideon. Mando's still stuck in that bar with Kara and Grief, and Moff Gideon knows that these guys are going to try and escape, so he gives them stupidly for no reason whatsoever. I mean, his arrogance got the best of him. He says it'll give them till the sunset. Why is he doing this? It makes no sense. Obviously, the writers couldn't figure anything out on this particular incident, but they are trying to escape. They're having no real success. They think they're going to be done for, and then we get a little flashback of Mandalorian being and his family being killed when he was still Din Djarin. And by the way, Moff Gideon knows that he's Din Djarin, who that's the name of the Mandalorian. So we have a more extended flashback of all of that with the during the Clone Wars. You see the super battle droids killing everyone. And shit. Actually, you don't really see one person getting killed by those super battle droids. You see them running around and shit, but no one's getting blown to high heaven, which pissed me off a little bit. Not very cool, Disney. I know what you're doing. And then we see the Mandalorian Din Djarin as a kid being saved by Mandalorians, and he knows this is how his future is going to end up being, because but the people who saved him end up being the people who train him, and that's how he is today. And after that flashback, we get IG-11 coming in, shooting the shit out of everything before they end up being stuck in the cantina for a little bit longer. What do you think of all of that, Roberto? I hope I haven't gone on too much. But what do you think of all of that?
No, I mean, take your time. The whole flashback thing. I mean, I kind of said this early on in the show. We didn't need to see the entire flashback. I'm kind of glad we did now because, we got to see that how he survived is by the Mandalorians. But my only question, and this is just me being nitpicky, but like, why were the Mandalorians there? Like, is that where they were living and they just decided to jump in, kind of like in episode 3? Or did somebody hire them to protect them? Or like, why are they there? Like, were they hiding out there and they just felt like they needed to get involved? I don't know. I mean, but I mean, more or less, it was a cool scene. I mean, seeing all the Mandalorians come out and fight, and yeah, it's just like episode 3. I mean, we got to see all the Mandalorians, so that was all well and good.
My problem with all of that was how all of that shit was stretched out from episode 1 to episode 3 to episode 8, and it was obvious as fuck who was going to save Din Djarin. It was the Mandalorians. If it was somebody else, then great. You give us a different payoff. Somebody else saved him, then okay, that was cool. But no, you gave us the obvious. No surprise whatsoever, and to leave the payoff like that until the last episode for something so obvious, which shouldn't be wasted on the final episode. No, I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. I'm actually quite critical of this episode, actually, in general. I've loved The Mandalorian, by the way, but this is the first episode of the whole. I mean, people have had problems with the previous episode. I think episode 4 I had an issue with, with the chicken walker and stuff like that, just because I thought it looked cheap. But this is the one episode where the storytelling at times pissed me off, and the fact that this Moff Gideon's giving them time and stuff like that. 1 minute he's being badass and he's being brutal. Next thing he's giving these guys time. It makes no sense. And then obviously with the IG-11 coming in and fucking things up, Moff Gideon says he has to give them no time, and he tries to flush them out by burning them out. And at this particular time, the bounty hunter Mandalorian, he's fucked. He's taken a massive concussion from an explosion, and his head's bleeding and stuff. And the rest of the team find a way of escaping by going through the sewers. And before they go through the sewers, we see the image of the grill, which is trying to maybe replicate the image of the grill on the first Star Destroyer. Would you say that, Roberto?
Yeah, it looks about the same. I kind of thought the same thing when I first saw it.
Yeah,
but they were able to blast it with one blaster shot. This one it
ended up being IG-11 because fucking Cara Dune, she fucking got her big Gatling gun all over that shit, and it didn't even put a dent.
Well, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. In the movie, in A New Hope, Han was able to just blow it with one shot, whereas in this one they were hammering it with a Gatling gun, and it wasn't even opening.
Exactly. Yeah, good point, actually. Very good point. But as going back to the story now, with IG-11 now amongst the crew, he breaks open the sewer fence, the sewer gate, and before they go in there is one stormtrooper with a flamethrower, and he's going to try and burn these guys out. Now, this is what bothered me about the episode. Like some of the shootout scenes, like Mando just standing there shooting shit, and the only person who's taking a shot back at Mando, who's not being shot at by Mando, is Moff Gideon. He could have got shot ages ago by another stormtrooper, and he didn't. Just things like that kind of bugs me with some of the action scenes in this. And then the guy with the flamethrower, I mean, they could have just shot his flame pack before he got even near the door, and he would have blown up. But no, it takes Baby Yoda having his moment again, or stopping those flames and throwing it back at the flamethrower stormtrooper, and then most of the crew escape. leaving IG-11 and the bounty hunter Mandalorian alone in the bar whilst the bar is burning around them. But the Mandalorian thinks he's going to die, so he wants to stay behind. But IG-11, now who's been reprogrammed, decides to help the Mandalorian. And this is where we get to find out a little bit more about IG-11, which I really liked. He knew what he was. His memory wasn't erased. He knew that he was a bounty hunter droid. He knew that he killed. But he also doesn't. He knows that he's not that anymore, and he wants to protect. And that was fascinating. And because he's not a living being, the Mandalorian doesn't mind taking his helmet off for IG-11 to heal him. And we finally get to see Pedro Pascal's face. And you know what, mate? I'm glad his face was how it was supposed to be. I think wearing that helmet all for a long period of time is going to make your face clam up and sweaty. Because he's been in so many battles, I expect to see lots of scars. He had all of that. What do you think of all of that moment from them escaping into the sewers to Baby Yoda using the Force to Mando removing his helmet and IG-11 being a bit more fleshed out?
The IG-11 thing I didn't really care for. The whole IG Baymax, IG Baymax 11, whatever you want to call them. Seeing the Mando's face, I kind of wish they would have. I mean, I didn't mind that IG-11 saw his face. I just feel like that, I think we shouldn't have seen his face. You know what I mean? It just would have kept the thing. I mean, if like they would have kind of turned the camera as a way, we saw that he took the helmet off, but we couldn't actually see his face. It kind of took a little bit of the.
I don't think they could have kept doing that, Roberto, without peeing off other demographics of people who wanted to see his face. I think they had to give this payoff, but they didn't prolong it. So, okay, here we go. We know what Pedro Pascal looks like anyway. So here we go. Here's a little glimpse to what he looks like with the helmet on. You're not going to get much, but now he's got to put it back on again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I said, I wasn't a fan, but I'm probably in the minority as usual. And then
Maybe Yoda using the Force.
Oh, Yoda using the Force. It was what it was. I mean, it's your Baby Yoda saving the day fix.
I think the reason why he did that was that there was no argument for him to heal the Mandalorian because he'd been tuckered out from doing that, so he wasn't able then to heal the Mandalorian. That was left for IG-11 to do. But this is the thing about this episode, because from there, he told the other crew members to no problem, to go ahead without them. And then just like seconds later, Mandalorian's already back with them. Yeah. I mean, people complained about similar circumstances being in Rise of Skywalker. I find this much more jarring. Like people complained about Chewie being dead, and then minutes later you see him alive. I had no problem with that. I had more of a problem with this because, like, yeah, go ahead without me. Oh, I'm back already. I'm already back. Like, immediately. It's like, I just found that a bit silly. But where they are, Roberto, is the Mandalorian secret hideout on Navarro. And we get to meet the armor smith who's staying behind. And she's still reforging a lot of the armor. And we see lots of Mandalorian armor, helmets and shields and shoulder braces and all types of shit, all scattered up into a heap. And you can tell that something's happened. Something has happened since Mandalorian left Navarro, when his mates all helped him, and it's all because of the Empire. And we get a moment where the armor smith briefly mentions Jedis as these people who can control and move objects with their minds. So now the Mandalorian very briefly knows what these people are. I mean, they're Force sensitive. I mean, your Baby Yoda's not a Jedi. He's Force sensitive, extremely Force sensitive, but he can be a Jedi. What do you think of all of this?
I thought it was a great character moment for the Mandalorian when they went back into the Mandalorian hideout and everybody was dead. Him talking with the Forge Smith, I thought that was a great character moment for her and for him. And him getting his signal or whatever his signet. There we go. His signet and him doing, it was a good. That was what I felt was like probably one of my favorite parts of the episode was because it was very character driven for the Mandalorian. I liked I like when IG-11 goes out and starts taking out the stormtroopers when they're still talking, and then he comes around the corner and he's just like, "We are protected" or something. I was just like, it's just like, dude.
My concern here a bit, Roberto, is that I think they're doing to Mandalorians what they've done to Jedi, and what they've done to the Jedi is kill them all off and only be a few left. And I'm a bit concerned they're doing this with the Mandalorian. Like all these Mandalorians are being killed off, and Mando Din Djarin's the last one. I'm not liking that. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, do we have to do this again? So that pissed me off because it kind of felt like that.
I don't think they're hunting the Mandalorians. I think that they're just taking out that sect of Mandalorians because they obviously created a disturbance and were rising up. I don't think that they're hunting all the Mandalorians now. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, there's been certain things talking about the Great Surge or the Great Purge or something like that, where a lot of Mandalorians died. And that could have been during the Clone Wars. It could have been between 6 and 7. Sorry, between episode 6 and now. Who knows when it happened?
I think they talked about it happening somewhere after episode 4, but before this, is what I thought. But I might be right. Somebody mentioned that somewhere, but I might be totally off my rocker with.
Nevertheless, I just hope there are many, many, many more Mandalorians, and Mando's not like the last saving hope. But it does look like he's going to be teaching Baby Yoda in the ways of the fucking Mandalore.
I hope they eventually get him back to his people and transition him out, because I mean, I know that and I kind of figured that's the direction they'd go, but I what are you going to do with a 50-year-old baby at this point? How are you going to train it in the way of because even 1 year, unless they do a time skip, unless they do season 2 takes place 5-10 years in the future or something, Baby Yoda's not gonna. I mean, Baby Yoda's the equivalent of an 18-month-old. So it's and I mean, he ages so slow that, I mean, even if we got to the time of, even if he got to the time of the new trilogy, he still would be 75 and probably a 2.5-year-old. So he's a toddler running around. So I don't know what, I mean, it's not like he can have any big discernible character growth moments because he's still so little. So I don't know what, as I said, I kind of hope they get him back to the race and just they call it, they're going to do this. They're going to have him on there as long as they can merchandise him. But I mean, I think in season 2, they need to just, maybe that'll be the search for Yoda's race. And so every episode he's going place to place trying to find Yoda's race or get any information or anything on Yoda's race.
I think Yoda's planet is in the Outer Rim.
Oh, yeah. Or the unknown regions.
Unknown regions, sorry, yeah, my bad. That's why.
I mean, it's the same thing, I think. I can't keep track of the galaxy map on Star Wars.
Oh, by the way, I did miss out something. Did you find it funny or were you angry when the stormtroopers were punching Baby Yoda in the bag?
It was dumb, but
I thought it was funny.
I just
thought it was funny because it pissed people, but I knew some people would be upset by it.
I mean, I was waiting for the moment where Baby, he would hit the bag and then Baby Yoda would just force push him away.
I thought Baby Yoda. I thought Baby Yoda initially stopped the stormtrooper from moving the speeder bike by moving his foot, but I just realized the stormtrooper had reached his spot, his checkpoint, so to speak. But anyway, let's get back to where we were. Now, this is one of the things that started to piss me off in the story from this point was the lack of Moff Gideon. So far, Moff Gideon for me has been a big disappointment in this episode because I think some of his. I mean, when he came in on the scene, he seemed ruthless, but this episode he came across as stupid, and with his decision making. And we so far haven't seen any of him, in this middle section of the episode. Well, then we get to something which comes straight out, like Jason and the Argonauts. These guys are going on a lava boat. I was like, I really rolled my eyes up at this. This was so like like Greek mythology type bullshit. Wasn't a fan of this. We had the fucking we had the R2 unit droid boatman. Oh my god, so stupid.
He had arms and legs.
Oh god. It was stupid. I want to appreciate some of these things, these ideas, but sometimes I think to myself, you know what? Let's have a bit more story and a little bit less crazy adventure. Because honestly, this is an episode which we needed some decent story and a decent payoff, and I don't think we got any of that. So whilst they're trying to get on the boat, we cut back to the armor smith, and she's just chilling on the floor, surrounded by some stormtroopers, and then she goes all John Wick on these girls, or Atomic Blonde even, on these stormtroopers, and she fucks them up with a fucking hammer and tongs. Did you like that scene, Roberto? Did you like the lava boat, Roberto?
Yeah, it's all right. But here's the scene that I really like when Jabba the Slut joins us.
Oh yeah,
what's going on, people?
I'm so happy. I was actually telling Roberto that I wish he did join us. I'm glad you're popping in, Ginge. How you been? How's your Christmas?
Yeah, brilliant Christmas. I've just been at my friend's putting together a Lego Simpsons house for the last 6 hours.
Wonderful, nice nerdy shit.
Yeah, well, never leave Lego near me because that's my night sorted. You know what I mean? I'll just take over your shit. But I literally just finished watching The Mandalorian now. And nice to see you lot are online.
Okay, so mate, we're continuing from this point. Like we're talking. I mean, we've already spoken about other stuff. So back there, we can a lot of shit at the end of this discussion. But where we are now is where the armor smith went all John Wick on those guys after the Mandalorian and the other and the rest of his crew were on the lava boat. What did you think of the Atomic Blonde John Wick moment with the hammer and tongs armor smith kicking the ass of those stormtroopers? And what did you think of the introduction of the lava boat?
Well, the Atomic Blonde scene was excellent. Great bit of choreography. I like the. I was just going to say, I find it ironic that a comedic director is the one that shows the most violence in an episode, with limbs getting fucking smashed and faces getting caved in and explosions and blood and all of that.
I agree with you there.
One of the stormtroopers got disintegrated.
Yeah,
like, on the table.
They got absolutely obliterated, disintegrated. And I just found like we've had all these other directors in like episodes, was it 5 or 6 on that ship where it doesn't even kill anyone, and here we are, people getting their heads smashed in. It was a fantastic scene. I was glad like they didn't murder her off, so we get to see.
I thought she was going to get killed off.
Roberto, yeah, so
what did you think of that scene?
I mean, I thought it was a great scene. I mean, I was also afraid that they were going to kill her, and I'm like, oh, like, I mean, come on, like, but she's really cool, and I like her. So I'm glad that. Well, I'm glad that they didn't. It was a really cool scene. And I mean, we'll probably see her again sometime in season 2. But I mean, I don't know, badass girl, badass fight.
What I meant to say is that you can't be killing off everyone in season 1. You need reoccurring characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Good and bad. So she'll be the Whistler to Mandalorian's blade for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now personally, when it came to the lava boat, I was just telling Roberto earlier, Ginger, that I rolled my eyes up to this Jason the
Yeah,
Argonaut Greek mythology bullshit with the
yeah,
fucking
stupid.
stupid R2 droid being the boatman and stuff. I thought it was poorly done, and this is one of the problems I found with this episode. And I've loved this show. I actually had no problem with most of the episodes until this one. This was the episode that really irked me the most out of all of them, Ginger, because we had such a lack of fucking Moff Gideon in this episode, and he looked like a fucking idiot at the beginning of this episode. He looked like a badass at the end of 7. He looked like an idiot in this episode by giving them time until dawn or sunset and shit.
Yeah, I didn't get that bit. I don't get why he kept giving them time. It's like, as far as he was aware, they had the kid. Throw them away. What the hell still needed them?
Exactly. Now, we're going to get to all of this later on when we recap everything at the end. But I just want to get back to this episode now. So this is like IG-11. I think he was the MVP of this episode.
Yeah.
He as a character really got fleshed out in this episode. I mean, he knew, as I was telling Roberto, he never forgot what he was. He knew what he was, and he wanted to be different. He was happy to be different. He didn't mind being different. He was programmed to be different, and he sacrificed himself. He knew that the Mando had to take care of the baby. He knew that his priority was to take care of that baby, and he knew that if he didn't sacrifice himself, then they were not going to protect that baby. And he did what he had to do. He walked in the lava. It shows you how tough he is. I think IG-11's made that a Beskar, but he walks into the lava.
No, because he was half melted by the time he got to them.
Yeah. I'm just having a laugh there,
right.
But that by the time he gets there, he opens up his chest and he kills himself. And he kills a lot of stormtroopers, by the way, doing that too. You are right, there are a lot of violence there. I mean, he suicide bombed those fucking stormtroopers.
It was great.
What did you think of that scene?
Me or Jason?
Roberto, Jason.
I thought it was fine. I mean, I like IG-11. As I said, I'm not a big fan of the whole IG Baymax that they made him out to be. I am your personal Baby Yoda companion. But I mean, that was a good send off for his character. I don't understand why. I don't know. I mean, they took out like a whole platoon of stormtroopers, and I guess they were kind of bottlenecked. So I guess it would have been a bad thing or a bad situation for them. But I just don't understand why they're scared of like a dozen troopers when they just took out like 3 dozen troopers out in the city.
Well, if they had got close enough, Mandalorian could have used some of his explosives.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like
IG-11 as well. By the way, like one of the things that bugged me, we're going back a bit, is that when he first came on the scene and he was saving them at that canteen, he had Baby Yoda on his body and he's fucking spinning around shooting people and shit. And I just thought to myself, that just seems wrong. He should be protecting Baby Yoda, not fucking getting right on his right there on his fucking chest. Luckily, he's going up against stormtroopers who've proven their shit shots this whole episode. But nevertheless, that kind of pissed me. Like these are the things that are really pissing me off. Like the action. I was telling Roberto earlier, like the action scene when he does come on the scene. You got Din Djarin, Mandalorian shooting everyone with that Gatling gun, and only person who shoots at him from a different angle is Moff Gideon. It's like nobody else is going to shoot at him. I mean, it really made it look a bit cheap. The fucking flamethrower guy, they could have shot at him at any point, but they wanted the Baby Yoda scene with him using the Force, and it didn't look convincing. Some of the, even though there was a lot of brutal action, some of the more flamboyant, action didn't come across that convincing. But back to this scene now, he's blown himself up. Sorry, I'm not sure if you want to say anything, Ginger. I don't want to leave you out.
It was standard Taika Waititi giving himself a fluff piece moment to stroke his own ego, because the director of this episode is IG-11.
Yeah, I know.
So it was an eye rolling moment. There was literally no need to do a Terminator bit where you go into the lava.
I forgot IG-11 was by Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi played
did?
him, and he directed that episode as well.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the
it was,
problem with JJ Abrams voicing
visually,
Dino.
visually, it's a fantastic moment, but plot-wise, it didn't really need to be. You know, a couple of handful of troopers, they could have easily taken them out.
That's what I felt. I'm like, why do we have to go to all these extremes? If I mean, you know, I felt like they were in a worse situation in the city than they were
Yeah,
in the tunnel.
exactly. So
now these guys are out the cave. They're out the cave now, and finally Moff Gideon turns up in his fucking TIE fighter, and he's going all around and shit, trying to shoot them. Obviously, you know, he's been hanging around with those stormtroopers too long because he can't fucking shoot them for shit either. Yeah, and
yeah, it's a fucking TIE fighter, for fuck's sake. You can easily like target, shoot down.
man, one shot from a TIE fighter,
and shoot down.
even if he missed him by maybe about like a foot, like it would still do loads of damage.
Yeah, the reverb on that is enough to take them out.
Yeah, I mean the ricochets and the vibrations
and all of that. What confused me as well is like 1 minute they want the baby alive, next they want to kill it. It's like, you know, it's so inconsistent. It's like, make up your minds. Do you want it alive?
Exactly.
Do you want it dead?
Yeah, so finally, he gets the Phoenix. We forgot to mention that the armor smith gave him a jetpack, and it's called the Rising Phoenix. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The way they spoke about that jetpack, it almost felt like it had some sort of mental connect. He has to have some mental connection. Like ask for it, and it will use it, or some shit like that. The armor smith mentioned.
Stupid. It's a jetpack.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a fucking jetpack, for fuck's sake.
It's just a jetpack, yeah. But he hooks that shit on now. He's fucking because he has to put his cape to one side, so his cape looks like a poncho now. Yeah, and he puts that shit on, and then he decides, you know what, Moff Gideon, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. And I am Iron Man. He flies up there, gets that grappling hook and shit, and he's on there, and he's trying to get to Moff Gideon. And we knew this was going to happen because unfortunately they gave away a clip of this scene in the trailer, which was one of the worst things they could have done, because we're all expecting this to happen at some particular point, and it did. And he puts a fucking grenade onto the TIE fighter, and then he jumps off and flies back down, and the TIE fighter blows up and it crashes. And then this is the bit where it really pisses me off. It's like, oh, it's over now. You know, it's over now. That really, like, I couldn't believe what I was watching here. It's over now. Yeah, I think I'm going to just stay here, even though I'm a wanted man by the fucking Empire. You know, I think I'm here. Cara Dune says the same thing. Her and Grief are just going to just seem like it just ended. Like, okay, it's all over. Like, what the fuck? It just felt so instant, and we've hardly seen any of Moff Gideon. I made sure I kept an eye out when his TIE fighter landed. I kept an eye out for an explosion. It didn't happen, so I knew he was going to live. And he comes out with a dark saber and shit like that. I want to throw all of that in there, but the way it just ended, you know, was just so
well. It was
satisfying.
The bit where it blows up when the TIE fighter crashes, and then the bit directly after that with, oh, it's over now. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I'll stay here. And then, if they got rid of the, I know we're going back, but it's relevant to this point. If they went back to the beginning with the speed troopers and took out that stupid scene where they're having a conversation and slapping the baby because Waititi couldn't fucking help himself, this is what I was expecting in this. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this director, but I don't like him doing sci-fi stuff, even though I really loved this episode. But that bit, if they took that bit out, with it where IG-11 comes and kills the speed troopers and all that, if they took that bit out, or most of that bit out, they could have put it towards the end, and then it would have felt like such a filler. You know,
funny enough, I didn't mind that scene. The things that bothered me was some of the action scenes where it just felt really weird, like they're all open, shooting the shit out of people, but no one's shooting back at them. And then certain people who are going to fuck them over, they could easily kill them. You know, Mandalorian, after he reveals his face to IG-11, he's instantly back with the crew after telling them to leave them. The boat,
Yeah.
fucking lava boat thing, didn't like that. The way everything's okay the moment the fucking TIE fighter crashes, it was just very dissatisfying for something that I've been championing from episode 1 to episode 7. Even episode 4, I didn't. A lot of people didn't like episode 4. I didn't mind it. It was just him on one of his journeys. It didn't have to do anything with the main plot. I didn't mind it. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked 6. 4 was okay. I didn't hate it. But this episode was the first time I felt really dissatisfied because of all these particular things. And considering Taika Waititi did it, I was expecting so much better. And
No, I mean,
then,
I'll be honest. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed this more than I expected to, despite some of the silly bits. Because after, I think it's more to do with the fact that, I mean, I love the action scenes. Though the bit with the baby in the middle is like that's a bit daft, but I love the action scenes.
it
And
takes me out of it, Jim. It takes
Huh?
me out of it, man. It
Yeah,
seems like that
yeah.
ruins it, man.
Yeah.
It takes me out of the moment because it's just not
kind of,
practical.
it negates his whole point of being. But
Yeah.
what, you know, I expected it to be a lot worse with him. Episode 7 is by far the best episode. Deborah Chow, I think, should be given the Obi-Wan series. They can't keep doing like different director every episode. Usually you can't tell in like Netflix does that as well and all that. But usually it's pretty consistent. In Mandalorian, the different directors was so evident that the whole series just felt all over the place for me. You know, there was the inconsistency with the dialogue, inconsistency with the action, inconsistency with plot. So for Obi-Wan, I hope they give it to Deborah Chow to do the whole series because
she's doing it, mate.
Huh?
She's doing
Well,
the whole series.
Don't know
She
if she's
could do
doing
the
the
whole
whole series.
series, as far as I'm concerned. Her episodes have been brilliant.
Her episodes have been
The
fantastic.
episodes of the season have been hers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 and 7 been hers.
Filoni, I don't mind.
Yeah,
as well, by the
but
way.
that dark saber is that ending bit was fantastic.
Actually, that's the first time we've seen a dark saber in live action ever.
In live action, yeah, I think they did it in Clone Wars as well.
Live action.
Live action. Yeah, no, that's the first time. It's brilliant. That's such a great. Finally, that's such a good way of going into the expanded universe's lore, rather than, you know, whatever crap Disney has put out there. So I really like the ending. That bit at the end.
Bit I didn't mind too much, but the way I just think personally, Moff Gideon didn't end up being the decent villain I think all of us were expecting him to be. I mean, they hardly. I mean, he was at the beginning of episode 8 and at the end of episode 8. They never used him at all. Like he should have.
Yeah.
Been,
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know who he is. Still, he's still a mystery, and we should have fleshed him out a little bit by now. And we know fuck all about him. And you know what? He's gonna look. If I just don't want him to end up being this incompetent idiot. Season 2. You know, if he does come back at season 2, he'll be a recurring villain. I don't think he's gonna be the main protagonist. He's gonna be like the Flash of, you know what I mean? But he needs to get one over on these guys big time.
Yeah, and we need to see it, not have it happen off screen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Is he a Sith though, or does he just have the dark saber?
He has it. The dark saber was created by
the first Mandalorian.
A Mandalorian who ended up being. I'm not sure if this is Legends or canon now, but it was in Clone Wars to a degree. A Mandalorian ended up being part of the Jedi Order.
Yeah, Tari.
He created a dark saber to unite the Mandalorians and the Jedis because they were always fighting each other because the Mandalorians were the Jedi's second biggest enemies after the Sith.
Yeah.
And they fought a lot and stuff like that. But they were briefly mentioned in this episode by the Armor Smith.
They were, which I liked. Yeah.
Which I liked. So but I do think Baby Yoda is going to end up being a Mandalorian. I can see it.
Well, it more than likely now, seeing as he's got to train him or take him back to his species. I mean, Mandalorian won't even survive by the time he's of age too, because I think it's what 100 years onwards that they reach some kind of maturity. But we don't know.
No idea.
Yeah, we were talking. I mean, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. Is like if you look at the age, like because like right now he's if he's 50 years old and he's 18 months, like I mean, how slow do you have to age to only be 18 months, the equivalent of 18 months old in 50 years?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to see a progression in this. I don't want to say character, but like this person, because every year is like a month to us. I mean, people can change, but I mean that's
unless they go for some kind of like period of quick aging, then yeah, we don't know.
yeah. And
Well,
I mean,
like
season 2 does a time skip, but I don't really want that. So
yeah, I don't. I want them to take their time with this.
Yeah,
that's
why I would go back. I'm hoping season 2 will be just Mandalorian getting Baby Yoda back to his species, and then they move on from Baby Yoda after that. Like he goes back to his species, and we're done with Baby Yoda. Not that I don't like Baby Yoda, but it is kind of it's something that's definitely going to hinder eventually the program, because everyone's going to be like, oh, Baby Yoda's so boring nowadays. Well, yeah, that's because there's not much you can do until he's much older, and he ages so slow that you're not going to, in the span of the series, you're not going to see much change.
Yeah, it's going to run its course very quickly.
I agree.
Yeah, so yeah, I totally agree with you. One more season with Baby Yoda, and then move on.
Maybe half a season, dude.
Or even half a season, either way. Or
they can nip it in the bud, and then maybe this guy who was in episode 5, the mysterious man with the spurs. Maybe he'll come into
resolution on that.
Yeah, well, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so that will show up later.
So, gentlemen, now the season is over. Ended, in my opinion, on. I mean, just even with all my complaints I had with the episode, if what sealed it for me disliking this episode was him dealing with a TIE fighter, and there's Grief and Kara just standing there, and that's it. Everything's over. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It really, it shouldn't just like everything shouldn't be over. You're still on the run, motherfuckers. Leg it. Yeah, the Empire will always be chasing you now. You can't be staying on fucking Navarro any longer, or at least not for now. Get the fuck out of there.
But let's remember the remnants of the Empire are basically crime lords now. So they think that they took out that crime lord. I'm pretty sure the other remnants of the Empire probably don't care about what's going on with Moff Gideon.
That's speculation. Personally, the last thing the remnants of the Empire needs is to see themselves be losing further, and like there's a connection there. Like the point is like it's easy for other Empire guilds to figure out what's going on or what has happened, and for that reason alone, I just find it so bizarre they're just going to chill on Navarro. It makes no fucking sense, It makes sense for the Mando to move on. He's the littlest hobo. And it was interesting to see.
Yeah, they should have all moved on because they're marked now, all of them.
Yeah, they should all move on. Not necessarily together. Yeah, different time. I like the fact that
Gideon's surviving. I mean,
sorry.
Listen, you could hang on. Season 2 could kick off with Carano and Figgy's character being killed by Moff Gideon because he's still there. So he probably goes back to see what's happened or to get a ship to get out of there. And he sees them, and he probably could slaughter them. You never know.
Well, and here's my other question: with the Empire in the state that it is, like, okay, all we really saw ship-wise was a TIE fighter. TIE fighters don't have hyperspace capabilities, at least not in the Return of the Jedi era. So it's like, how did that ship get there? Do we know if they have like a Victory class Star Destroyer in orbit? Do they have just an Imperial assault dreadnought, or like what kind of ship do they have that transports all these troops and this one TIE fighter that they have. Like, what do you
Where
know?
are they based? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
true.
they were clearly not based on that planet. I don't believe. I don't think they insinuated they were based on that planet.
No, because they were tucked away in the
Yeah,
beginning.
No, but
They were tucked
that
away.
planet is to the outer is near the unknown regions. You know, that's where Mando's spent most of this season. Actually, all of this season in the unknown in the outer rims of space. So you know, the New Order or the Old Empire, they could have easily just been chilling out in the unknown regions,
Yeah, but that's what we want to see,
which is
find
very
out.
close.
Are they? Is there still a couple of Star Destroyers left that are out in the outer region? Could be. I mean, the universe. If you look at the Star Wars map, it's fucking huge. So, and that's just one galaxy.
well, I mean, according to what they've said, I mean the remnants of the remnants of like the other remnants of the Empire left to the unknown regions to begin the First Order. Now, from
Yeah,
what I understand, Moff Gideon is not a part of those people that left. Moff Gideon is kind of like, as I said, like an Imperial crime lord now.
yeah,
He's not a part of the Empire or the newly formed First Order out there in the unknown regions. So it's like what that I was kind of hoping, and I mean I agree with Zam. Like his definitely Moff Gideon's character was not, or his even purpose in this whole thing was not fleshed out at all. He just showed up to be a dickhead. Like
yeah.
that's about it. Like I mean, he showed up, he killed what's his face, the who I honestly thought was a better villain, truth be told.
Yeah, I did like that
Right.
they killed him off. He should have taken Moff Gideon's kind of place.
Yeah.
And then Moff Gideon kind of shows up maybe at the end of this as like, oh, this is the next bad. Who is he? Kind of thing. Because there's that air of mystery. Whereas here, you make him look like a complete tit.
Yeah. He did. I
His
mean,
eye blown up, and he didn't do much shooting.
yeah, and he didn't look very strategic. I know some people are saying,
Oh.
"Oh, everything he did was strategic," and I'm like, not really.
Not really.
He shot the power thing that blew up in front of the Mandalorian. Ooh, strategy. But as you guys said earlier, it's like he gave them like several hours to get themselves together so that he's like, you have till sundown. You don't do that. Like if
Why
he
are you
would have
giving
been
them
Baby Yoda, they had
yeah.
been toast.
Yeah, it just
You're
didn't
giving
make
them a
sense.
chance to make a plan.
Yeah,
You're giving them a chance to figure some sort of escape method.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're giving opportunity here. So stupid. You know, all of that. Like you just, you now from a character that I was getting interested in, you've ruined him already with that. And like I said,
What I
then you
felt
don't
like
see him until he's in the TIE fight. It's ridiculous.
when I felt like the way he delivered his lines made him menacing, but like the words that he was speaking was like, what? Like I really did feel like he was a menacing officer, and but then the actions that he was like the things that he was saying, like, you have till sundown, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like I feel threatened, but I don't feel like this is the brightest idea on your part, and I question your sanity. So I don't know. I just
I just best not to
Well,
think about it. Moving on to the next. That's over now.
well, guys, the season is over now. Unfortunately, we won't be talking about Mandalorian again for another fucking year,
Yeah,
which is a real shame. But it gives the other people like yourself, Bob Valorian, chances to save money. But we're going to review now the whole season as a whole. We won't go on too long for this. Try and keep this within the hour. The season's over. What do you think, Ginger, of the Mandalorian as a whole?
As a whole, I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't blown away. I enjoyed parts of it, but apart from maybe episode 3 and 7, I just never had this kind of overwhelming feeling of like, oh, this is amazing what I'm watching, and oh, it's blowing my mind. I was more blown away by the music. I thought the score for Mandalorian was second to none. It is the best score I've heard in something in a long fucking time, and I absolutely that's what blew me away. Every time I could hear the music, I was just like, that's what overwhelmed me. But the show itself, it was very Disney. It was very Disney, I just the only thing that I took away from that part of the score was that give Deborah Chow the Obi-Wan series, just her, no one else, because her 2 episodes were amazing. Um, you know, that 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 that's what I'm gonna say. I mean, I've got 2 comparisons because the 2 shows I'm watching right now. You got Mandalorian, you got Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, I watch, and I just love every second I am watching. I'm laughing my head off. I am just in love with that show. It is my absolute favorite thing of 2019, and it has no right to be, really. Well, it kind of does because it's Warner Brothers Animation. But then you compare it to Mandalorian, and I'm like, no, I should have been blown away by this, but I wasn't. I just enjoyed, I just enjoyed it, but I wasn't blown away by it. And that's my verdict. And the 3 filler episodes really pissed me off as well. 4, 5, and 6. I just didn't like it. So yeah, I didn't like that.
Are you definitely going to watch season 2?
Yeah, 100%. I'll stick with it. It wasn't garbage. It was just underwhelming. That's all. It's not like CW level.
Not bad for a first attempt.
Every first series.
Did you say?
I said not CW levels of garbage. I said,
I'll
look,
get to
every
you,
first series has teething problems. That's how you what hit, what's miss, what's hit, what's miss. Same with The Witcher, what's hit and miss. So season 2, I'm sure they would have said, okay, they like this, they like that. Just don't overdo it with the Baby Yoda is my only advice. So yeah, of course I'm going to keep watching. It's Star Wars. I mean, I want to watch the Rise of Skywalker for fuck's sake.
Now, see, I'm going to be with you and against you on this next bit. What you call filler episodes is me just seeing Mandalorian interact in this universe. But at the same time, I do agree with you that if those episodes didn't exist and they put more effort into maybe fleshing out people like Moff Gideon, for instance, who really needed to be fleshed the fuck out, then they could have given up one of those filler episodes. Personally, I thought episode 6 was brilliant. The the jailbreak episode. I thought that was brilliant, and
I didn't hate it.
That's the sort of shit I want to see from Mandalorian personally. This sort of stuff, but I just want to get Roberto in here. Roberto, season fine. Overall, particular things you wanted to point out earlier. Let me have it.
I mean, I really like this. My 5-second review of this show would be it's a step in the right direction for Star Wars as a whole.
100% agree.
I mean, and I agree with Zam. I mean, I think that kind of some of those filler episodes, like I like those filler episodes where you get to delve into characters, and are they like massive story driven, huge, like episode 7 and episode 3? No, but they're episodes where you kind of get to dig into the characters a little bit. And I get it, they're Star Trek-y. I know, I get it, and that's probably where this is coming from with me. But I mean, those episodes are the ones that I'm like, I really am digging it, and like I'm really digging into the character, and I'm liking some of the stuff that I'm hearing. Honestly, I liked episode 2. Where he's like going after the freaking Jawas. Like that was freaking hilarious. Like, brilliant. And I thought it was funny to watch like the Mandalorian get frustrated because he's just like he should be like this big old badass who can just beat but these Jawas are just like they're so good in their own environment that they're just kind of getting one up on him, and he's just like frustrated as all hell. And I mean, it's just that's kind of the kind of stuff I like to see.
Disintegrating them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was disintegrating them.
Roberto, I totally agree with you. Like the Mando in this whole season, he looked badass a lot of times when he's fighting stormtroopers, but he wasn't capable of fighting every element that came along him, every type of enemy that came along him. There were going to be people who were going to have methods to fight him, and he was going to struggle against them, like the Jawas. But obviously, when he came up against other criminal badasses, he was always one step ahead of the game, which is why he made all those guys in episode 6 look like his bitch. Nevertheless, I thought this. I'll just give you my quick point. I thoroughly enjoyed nearly all the episodes except for the final one. it could have been. I mean, we're talking about the final episode here, and I just sometimes with certain shows, I think to myself, yeah, it's not perfect, but I still enjoyed it. This one, I enjoyed some of it, and I really got upset by some of it. The lack of Moff Gideon, some of the action scenes, as brutal as some of them were, some of the choreography with the shooting was stupid as I found. As well as that ending, which is, oh god, that's just bad. You can't end it like that. It was so tropey. I mean, I like the show for being tropey to a degree if you do it right. You could do the same trope a million times if you do it right. But to end it like that, it felt like Xena Warrior Princess. Couldn't fucking stand it. But you know what? It's their first attempt. I'm sure they'll get it right the next time round.
Yep.
So how would you feel about the ending being the Mandalorian discovering all of his people were killed in the sewer? Like that would be kind of like the very end where he's like, and not like that cut to black, but like
no. The point, no, it's not like that, Roberta. The point is that fine. He deals with Moff Gideon. As soon as he goes back, we don't have Grief Karga standing like this. Like, okay, I'm just gonna just chill here and stuff. No, like you got to understand the situation you guys are in. You're on the run. So for him to end like all happy and stuff, and fucking Mando looking like Clint Eastwood with a helmet in the fucking Sergio Leone movies, I wasn't feeling that. The tenseness just evaporated the moment that fucking TIE fighter crashed. When really they should be thinking about their next move and where to go from here. Not fucking put up camp. They should be on the run. It felt so wrong. It felt so wrong. I like it.
On the run from who though? Like, don't say the Empire because there is no Empire.
No,
like,
there's more to the old Empire than just Moff Gideon.
Yeah,
and the point is,
the old Empire is
gone. Other factions, they can never just relax. There's always, the point is, people find out. Other factions find out. I mean, they knew who the Mandalorian was. They knew Din Djarin. They know things. So it's not worth underestimating them. So they've got to be on the move. They're better off being on the move than staying put, for sure. I mean, look what those fucking the old Empire did to the Mandalorians in their hideout. I mean, they fucked them up. There's all these shields and helmets there.
I'm pretty sure they didn't shoot
just because you destroyed. Just because you dealt with that particular faction doesn't mean that another faction won't come along.
But will those other factions really care? See, that's I feel like the tension got broke because I have no scope of how big Moff Gideon's sect of the remnants of the Empire is. Now, like if Moff Gideon's talked about having like an Imperial class Star Destroyer in orbit, then I would be like, oh yeah, there's definitely more to this than just his TIE fighter and some soldiers. So that's kind of where I'm at with that whole thing.
It's more than Moff Gideon. There could be other Grand Moffs and other warlords and Imperial leaders who could easily find out about this. They find out about things. That's how it works. And I'm just saying that they wouldn't be staying put. It would be too dangerous. They would have to be on the run. All of them.
They're on the assumption that Moff Gideon right now is dead.
Yeah, which even last long because
you don't know that more are coming. Yeah, sorry, brain fart. Yeah, you wouldn't stay there. You just wouldn't.
You just couldn't stay there, but
okay, I'm not saying that they should stay there. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel the scope of what the reach that Moff Gideon has because they don't make any reference to his outside forces besides what was on that planet and that TIE fighter.
Yeah, I agree, but the logic would dictate that because you don't know how big his troops are, are there more? You just wouldn't stay there because they'll come looking for Moff Gideon. So if you're staying there and Moff Gideon, obviously, again,
where did this TIE fighter come from?
But the fact that there was a battle there and that they may or may not know that Moff Gideon sent troops there, other people, you're not going to stay there. It's completely illogical to stay behind. It's very dangerous.
Well, they're going to die then.
Yeah, I suspect that at the beginning of season 2 they'll get killed off or something.
And is Mandalorian back with a bounty guild now? Everything's cool.
That's
all
what
of
it
a
sounds
sudden.
like.
Sorry,
I don't think he's a bounty hunter anymore.
No, but I
it
think
never
you made
really
it sound
was.
like that he got rid of that. What's his face got rid of the bounty on his head.
Yeah, he got rid of the
It's a
bounty
shame,
hunter.
really. I really like.
But yeah, I don't know. He broke the code of the guild, and don't forget, the other guy broke the code by killing the other two bounty hunters that were going to kill them in the previous episode.
Yeah, but he's got a bit of Beskar in it, so he's sorted.
Yeah.
His hideout somewhere.
So I mean, there are a lot of interesting things left open. That's for sure. You know,
So what's next on Disney Plus?
what's that?
What's next on
Nothing.
Disney Plus?
Absolutely nothing for a whole year.
What's the
All
fucking
the
point?
MCU stuff is next.
But
I think
what's
the
next?
next
Wise?
is
I
just
thought they
WandaVision and Falcon.
working on what's the dude from Rogue One? Cassian.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Caspian
but
and
nothing is due out for another year.
Well, that's crazy. Why would you do that?
in my opinion, that show's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
They're filming it.
Are they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just feel it feels a bit weird. This prequel.
I do too, but you know what? It's one of those. Rogue One is the only success story they have critically, and there's
Look, what
they're just
concerns me
gonna
the
go
most is that in Rogue One, Cassian Andor had to kill one of his own people, so he wouldn't give anything away.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of Cassian Andor we need to be seeing in this prequel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody ruthless to save.
I'm not sure if we're gonna get that.
Yeah, they'll probably lumber him with another baby as well.
I'm not excited. I loved Rogue One, but I'm not excited for this series at all.
No, me neither.
I feel like maybe they should do like a Shadows of the Empire type series, like with maybe do Dash Rendar, maybe dive in. And I keep in mind I haven't read the Shadows of the Empire book. I've only played the Shadows of the Empire game with Dash Rendar, but I think that's a really good spot to kind of, if you really have to get into that original trilogy era, that would be something to dive into because you can do a ton with that.
Well, I mean, you can bring back the Emperor. You can Darth Vader's in it. There's loads. Air is in it.
I'm not sure if I want any more of these periods. Maybe I want to go further back.
But yeah,
I'd
rather we just detach from this timeline completely. Just do Obi-Wan and then move away.
I don't even, honestly, I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, but I don't want an Obi-Wan series. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, meh, I don't know. I just don't want it.
I'm just not happy with what I'm hearing.
Because they're making it.
No, but this is my problem. What I'm not happy about is what I've been hearing about how they're going to make this, how they're going to film it. It's going to be him 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. So it's not going to be straight after Revenge of the Sith. It's going to be 8 years after. And that's going to also be a good 9-10 years before New Hope. So it could be any fucking story. And that's what pisses me off. You know, in my opinion, you know, it should be from the moment he gives away Luke to fucking the last family. And to the moment he goes in episode 4. That's how it should be. You know, really flesh it out. You know, different episodes.
So it's going to be all
you can make it episodic. No, but you can make it episodic. But it could be like one episode could be about his first year. The second episode could be done for 2 or 3 years later. And the next episode like that a few years later. Yeah, do it like that. I think that'll be much better. Keep it episodic. You don't have to serialize it. Be much better that way.
See what they do. Yeah, I can't until I see what they do with it.
By the way, I could talk so much more, but I want to go to bed.
We could do a stream. We can talk about that tomorrow on our stream.
No, tomorrow is the top lists.
Well, I already got my top 5.
Oh, what's that?
I said I already got my top 5 list lined up. So
perfect. Yeah, tomorrow is just top lists of the year. And then the week after that, we could just talk whatever you want because it's going to be dead news because it's New Year.
And what we won in 2020.
This is
One
Yeah,
more
amazing.
What's
subscriber.
look forward for in 2020? Absolutely nothing.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Subscriber. One new one.
You know what I'm gonna do on New Year's Eve?
Have a wank.
I'm gonna do on New Year's Eve what I did last year on New Year's Eve.
Have a
Go
wank.
to bed at 9 p.m.
Yes. You work New Year's Day though.
I'll be going to work about 4 or 5 in the morning on New Year's Day,
It's a
fresh
great
as a
day to work.
daisy. Yeah,
That's a
but
great day
people
to work.
think New Year's Eve is a good day to work. It's not, because
No,
Central
New
London's
Year's
closed.
Day, not New Year's Eve.
New Year's Day, yeah.
New
Christmas
Year's
Day is
Day.
the best day to work because there's no public transport.
Yeah, I'm going to work the next day. So,
Yeah.
all right. I think
All
it's
right.
time to wrap this up, guys.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. We'll be back tomorrow doing our top 5 of 2019. Be there for that, 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Say goodbye to everyone. Bye-bye,
That's
everyone.
11:30 American time, by the way. Bye.
Yes.
Sorry, I
4:30
got
p.m. UK time. UK is what matters.